Good evening, Sensei.
Hey, how are you? Okay. Welcome. Okay. What did we do last week?
We were off last week.
Oh, that's why. That's why I couldn't
You can't
remember. We
remember.
were off. Before I forget, and remind me at the end, we're off next week. Technical difficulty. So next week, rien, nothing. Take another weekend off and process. Okay. Is this clear? This I think. Settling, a little more opening, feeling. And there are, again, more than one level or dimension of feeling, easy and settle, and your more sensitive feeling, easy and settle, and another level of feeling that could be more inclusive. Okay? Soon, eventually, you shift into sensing, and there'll be levels of sensing. Okay. But let's see where we're at. Let me skim my notes for a moment. Okay, I think tonight we wanted to remind you sensing as an experience. There's a tendency with us humans to learn the word and think, yes, I got the word. And like, yeah, but as long as you know that in sensing, it's not just aware of sensing, or you're thinking more about it. That's not what we're doing here now. Sensing has as part of itself, within itself, experiential. So what should we call that? Experiential sensing. Okay. Skimming my notes real quick. Blah, blah, blah. Inner sensing as an experience. Okay. Again, we tend to throw out words, so the word sense is oft used, and my sense about that is ... But there's not been any real sensing. Okay, you're allowed to do that as long as you know you're doing it, and if you really want to be finer level sensing, you have to know that that's at first, especially, I have to go through a little process. Next level, easy, settle, open, finer dimensions, next level, to really appropriately sense. I hope I'm saying this okay. In my conversations with Osensei, he uses the word sensing a lot. When he was talking about the bullets flying around in the Russo-Japanese War, although they weren't being aimed at him, he was in the area where they were flying around, and he could sense that. Okay, he could sense bullets flying around. Then, as you get more advanced with sensing, in Manchuria, when they're actually aiming at him, trying to hit him, he could sense that. And that's when he'd move and the bullets would go by, because he was pre-warned, for lack of words. He could sense them coming. He had plenty of time to move when they'd go by. So a finer level of sensing. Let me see if I want to tell the story again. His finest level of sensing, following his stories, was his fight with the naval captain. This famous, he went to the well and golden vapors and all that. He said the guy was damn good, damn good. Okay, had really developed himself. He was fast, he was strong, blah, blah, blah. And Osensei was fast and strong. Osensei said I had a little edge over him, but it was real close, real close. What happened there was Osensei moved into a whole different realm. We'll continue with the word sensing, but a whole different realm of sensing. Okay. So he puts his sword or bokken down, which pisses the guy off no end because it feels like Osensei is dissing him. Okay. And as the guy is swinging, he's really pissed. He really wants to get him. Osensei says he's just walking around. And it's kind of like with the bullets, there'd be a sense of here comes something, time to move. And he was just walking around. He wasn't in Hanmin, doing his basics. He wasn't at that level. He had shifted levels like wow, and not just a finer level. This is a big jump. We'll try to mention another time. But right now we're in the level of better development. And then eventually we'll see about the potential for doing what Osensei did. Potential. Okay. But let's upgrade ourselves in the world. Okay. All right. Let's learn the basics, get a sense of the basics, which are very important to get a sense of something before all these basics. But I'm getting into something else here. So, sensing easy. Let's just settle for a little bit. Okay, easy, settle, easy. Nothing to think about, but that may be going on, right? Easy. Let's say easy the eye, easy. Infers, for some people, more space. For some people, more space and a little deeper sense, deeper sense in that. Easy. As you settle with a sense of opening and a sense of finer dimensions. Easy. Settle. Open. Finer dimension level. Easy. Okay, so we're going from thinking to feeling. Again, in feeling, there are many levels. Okay, we tried to show that pretty simply in that old basic that we show or mention, where in Aikido, for example, somebody grabs and the other person after a minute goes, oh, okay, they've been held on strongly for a long time and they go, oh, okay. As they settle and open, better level of feeling, they feel the fingers starting to wrap around. And there they're starting to move with them, potentially, okay? Settle, finer level of feeling, you begin to feel, boom, you felt it coming in, okay? And then the ones Bob and Noah talked about back in the day, we'd have them practice blindfolded and somebody very quietly, not making any noise, very quietly coming in, okay? And to the point where then Bob was pretty good at this, that's why I'm mentioning his name here, feeling it coming in way before, and he'd start to move way before they're on it, okay? So different levels of feeling, okay? Are we okay so far? Continuing to settle, open, sense of better, finer dimension, easy, finer dimension, sensing, okay, sense. So sensing is not what you're thinking about. We went through that one. Sensing is not what you're feeling. We've been through that one. Sensing. At first, you don't have anything to relate to, so I'm not sure if we could ask, what are you sensing? Okay. But just to settle you down, get you in a better location. Okay. What if here we bring in a couple of example cases of people who work every day with people and are using sort of this approach? Okay. Elaine, are you on?
Yeah, Sensei, I'm on. Here, let me just get myself set up here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. I can even see you.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Okay, a moment or so for your basic settling down and going through what we just went through before you present yourself with the patient client. Okay,
Right.
your basic settling opening. Any?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't spend a lot of time in thinking. I'll tell you that. It really, we're just, you know, the easy the eye and all that other prep happens, you know, before people come in.
Yes.
You're not really hanging out and thinking about things at that point at all.
Yeah.
You just start from a better place, which is, you know, you talk about that.
Yeah.
And in feeling, there's, you know, it's, I can, in feeling, I can feel who they are.
Okay, so
You know,
now
that
we've got your
feeling
patient
state,
client
right?
in front of you.
Yeah. And, you know, if I'm, you know, past wondering about them and thinking and, you know, what are their questions going to be and all that, I can just be with them. I can feel who they are. And it's really actually important to spend time with this.
Okay.
In a way, they can begin to feel like they have space in the room in a way.
So being present, feeling, you like to hang out there a bit. Yeah.
Present in feeling with them.
Yeah.
And it's not like I sit down and meditate with them. It's just a way of just being present with them.
Yeah.
You know, we can still talk to each other, but it's just a way of allowing for it and let them take their space. And then
Right.
really moving.
In me having space, I naturally give them space also.
Yeah. And that, you know, what starts to happen is the progression into this improved being together is natural.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to work the scenario a lot. It's natural if I'm in a good place with them in a feeling sense and we're both comfortable there, then moving from that into sensing feels like I have more spread in the room. My feeling of being with them is lighter. And I think I said to you this afternoon, there's a way they feel like they have more 3D, but I think it's just really that this availability of information in the room. Okay. That's just way improved.
Yeah. Okay. What we're talking about here is when you get into sensing and all that opening for both of us, patient and healer, it starts to show that there's more information available. So there you're going to have degrees of sensing. Okay. And Susan and I are bumping into that in our work that, oh my God, it's opening up bigger and bigger with more information. You know, you go from that person and their problems to that person and their family, in case there's any family things happening that are affecting that person. And on it keeps growing. The historical of that person. Somebody will mention that later. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, and the information, actually, it's interesting because I feel like I really can't, in a certain way, I was going to say I can't decide how this is going to go because that's back in the thinking realm also. But there's this continual letting go, this continual clearing and more and clearing and more. And I can't really, in a way, hang on to what I think I know about them.
Yeah. Yeah, let me jump in. As soon as you hang on, potentially you're stuck at that level, even though it could be a damn good level. You're also stuck at that level. Yeah. So how not to get stuck and how to be open for a continual moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you picked up, whatever experience, information, whatever you picked up. Yes. So noted now. Keep moving. Keep moving. Yeah, that information isn't lost, but you got to keep moving. Could we say it that way?
Yeah, that the process can continue. Just also there's this feeling of it just continuing in a natural way, and that how was I going to say this? this. We were talking about sustaining a few months ago. And it seems to me that in all of this continuity in the sustaining of this state is it happens because you keep letting go. That you don't hang on to anything, that I don't grab on to, I should do something with their hip right now. I don't grab on to anything. I just move with them in that state. And just I try to pay attention to how I'm listening to them and to myself.
And listening, I don't think she means
it's
voice.
Not hearing. No, it's
yeah.
It's
so
how
we have to be careful the words. I listen to them, but no, we're in a sensing level. We're not. Well, you got to tell me something so I know what to do, kind of thing. So the words, that's why we try to have to create our own language a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we call that sense hearing? Whatever. Anyway.
It feels as you keep kind of, letting go and moving through those dimensions, the resources keep improving.
Yes. That's probably the main point there. I don't know how big this can get. I mean, really, what's available to us? Oh my God.
But and what's available to them?
Yeah.
If I can get out of my way and get out of their way, where are they going to go?
Yeah, be at a better level to read, sense what's being said or presented at their level. And to continue that opens up, or you're getting better, but they're also opening up, and their system, for lack of words, is presenting more information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't know, just so far, oh my God, this is big. This is big. We're just like almost scratching the surface, so to speak. Yeah. Yes, Elaine, anything to finish,
that's
clarify?
good for now. Yeah.
Okay. And the thing she said was, after a bit, you don't start heavy. You naturally start at a better level. That just comes along with you practicing, that you're rarely Bobby. And even Robert checks himself before he walks into a meeting and says, oh, I'm a Robert, not good enough. I have to be Mr. Nadeau at the meeting, kind of thing. So you start better. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And if you find yourself starting tight and crazy, pass. I'll get to you in a few minutes. Sorry to keep you waiting, but you got to pass. Kind of thing. Okay, if I go too weird here.
So I think, Sensei, this is Sean. I hear like a resounding.
I'm sorry, you're not coming across too clear.
I'm sorry. resounding. Do you get that one?
Sounding, resounding.
Resounding?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
like I don't know. It's like when the I don't know. It feels like it's like you hear it, and it's like an echo, and you keep hearing it, and you keep hearing it, and it's
Well, you're there.
Reverberation.
reverberation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Better word.
If you're there at that level of sensing that you're hearing something, that's one
Yes.
form of communication there. And you stay at that level, and it's important, it'll sort of repeat itself.
I feel like with body work, that's very much what I feel. With body work, it feels very much like a resounding influence.
Whatever. They say, I don't know how important that is. It rebounds. Like, yeah, maybe so, but I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know how important that is. It's just you're there and you're hearing it.
Yep.
And you hear it a little bit clearer, maybe a little more distinctly. So you know, oh, that's probably the fact of this location because you've heard it more than once, kind of thing. So in that sense, yeah, I just don't want to get people being caught up in a bounding, echoing voice thing here. It's no importante. Sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, I hear you. It's
Okay.
that resounding, like like in the riverboats, they would say mark, and it was like there was someone who would be throwing a weight over the side, and they figure out how deep they were.
Yeah.
And it's like because things.
We all read Mark Twain. Yes.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. Susan, you on?
Yes, Sensei.
Okay. Talk for a moment so we can hear it. Make sure our connection is clear. Say what?
Can you hear me okay?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. Anything again, fairly quickly on your settling down process?
Depth is critical. And since we've been working on space, I do a lot more upfront of acknowledging space.
Okay. Great.
So before a session, at the beginning of a session, I really acknowledge the space. And that seems to just immediately open up a whole bunch.
Okay. All right. So again, people, there are different words or forms you could use. So she likes space. Somebody else may say, well, I'm easy in this situation, and then I get easier. But if you notice, as you're hanging out with that word, experiencing that word, it's getting bigger, more spacious, more room is there. So far, so good. Yeah. Space.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, depth is really critical for me. And there are times that I'll appreciate that I'm not deep enough for this. So I settle deeper.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where Osensei's word roots come in. Roots are down here. Make sure you have good roots. Okay. It doesn't just mean your feet, but in your sensing, sense deeper in this openness. Yeah.
And there are times that I appreciate I haven't done enough, and I will actually step out of the room, walk down the hall, take some breaths, do a little bit on my own, and then go back in.
Okay. Does that mean you walked into the room too soon with your patient client?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. Anyway, again, those tricks of knowing a patient's coming in, you're doing a lot of preliminary before they come in kind of thing. And everyone, you'll get that sense of doing that's important to do. You don't want to go into the meeting being a tight idiot and then try to adjust to the meeting. You can do it that way, but you're wasting time. And you didn't really hear the first 5 minutes of the dialogue in the meeting kind of thing. So the more you can prep, open, whatever, prep. So that when you go into the meeting, deal with your client, whatever, you're more there. Okay. More there. I remember doing little things pre-Aikido class, so when I was actually on the mat, I was really there. Okay. Kind of thing. So you just learn to do these earlier, what do you want to call them? Clearings, there's earlier preparation. I don't know if I like that word, but yeah. So that when you're there, whether it's a meeting or an Aikido mat dojo or what the hell. Yeah. Okay, we're moving along here, Susan.
Yes.
Anything about feeling before you get to sensing? You got your client in front of you now.
Well, initially I have to use the word sense. There's a sense that there's a whole bunch that's available. And then sort of like Elaine said, getting out of the way so that what's relevant and what the patient, the client wants to show can come through.
Yeah. All right. How could we say that better? In your first settling opening with them, there could be a lot going on there, and you got to easy.
Yes.
You and them. So the relationship, energy, connection, whatever words we're going to use with that, is not impeded or slowed down. Are we talking something like that?
That's good. Yes.
Okay. And you continue.
And then the more always starts to show.
The more of
them, the more of the situation, and potentially the more of whatever words come through me.
Are we back? Yeah.
Sensei, your video froze, but you're back now.
I see me. Yeah.
So I don't know. You dropped off for a few minutes. And Susan, we lost you too, Susan, for a few minutes.
Huh.
Please repeat, Susan.
Okay. Where was I? So the more always shows, the more of the client, the more of the situation, the more of what comes through me.
I'm sorry, Susan, please stand by.
Is that coming? Okay.
There we are. Okay.
And so, Brad, we are seeing camera 2.
I see it.
Okay. All right. I think we're back.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Susan,
Yes.
settling, opening, connecting, a sense feeling of a relationship potential.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, where are we? Continue.
Well, again, like Elaine said, it's a not getting in the way, letting go and continuing to clear so that the more can show, and the more can show without me getting in the way.
So
Just a sense that there's always more that wants to show.
But letting what's there at that moment show.
Yes.
In whatever form it's showing. Yeah. That means people sometimes just sort of hear things in your you hear thing. You get images. Some people just a knowingness kind of thing. So there's different ways this communication goes on. No big deal there. Okay, but you don't want to say to everyone, and you'll hear something, because they'll be, I don't hear anything. No, maybe you'll view things. Maybe the picture of them at a better level of them will be a little clearer to you. Whatever. Okay, so let's get off of that. And continuing, Susan, moving into sensing here, I believe.
Okay.
And what? Sensing, finer levels of sensing. Where are we?
Well, this is often a place where I'll find myself either asking a question or saying something that I have no preconceived notion of asking. So something comes through that is, I don't know, like brought forth.
Is what?
Something comes through that's relevant to the person. And again, it's not something that I thought about or preconceived idea or question.
It's just they're being
Something that
presented
comes through. Yes,
Yeah.
being presented.
Yeah. Okay. And in the sensing realm, could I add, we don't have to think about that or worry about that. If you've done that, you've carried too much of the thinker into this bigger.
Right.
Or what I was trying to tell San Jose, I'm sorry. Andrew. Andrew, sounds like you're carrying the negative doubter into a larger space, and you can't do that. You've got to learn to clear that one to move along, clear that to move along. You can't retain a small thing in the middle of this bigger thing. It screws it up. It's like you're carrying cancer into a healthy cell. I don't know how to word this, but you got the sense. So, okay. And finer sensing, Susan. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sensei, we seem to have lost her.
She's up in the hills, so yeah.
Yeah.
So she again.
She's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Sensing.
I don't know. There's just, again, there's a flow of dialogue that, like Elaine said, is very natural. The process is just astoundingly natural and progresses in a natural course.
Yeah. And the distance factor, I don't know how important this is, but the distance factor seems to change, where it's not, they're way over there and you're listening to them and it's flowing. There seems to be more of a coming together, kind of joining.
Yes.
A blend and overlay blend, maybe. Yeah. Where you're present with them, experiencing, sensing what's being shown or presented from their system. Something like that. Yes? No?
Yes.
You want to finish up?
That's good.
That's it?
That's what I got for the moment.
How about this? Revealed, illuminated, and resounded. Again, resounded.
Does he come up with words again? Are you throwing out a bunch of words again?
No.
No, what are you doing? It sounded like a bunch of words to me. I don't know how much we need them. I know you like the words, but let's stay with the experience. What words crop up in the experience? How about that? Okay. I don't want to go up to a dictionary mind. Or maybe somebody should do that sometimes, but not now here, let's say. And maybe I'm totally wrong and you're totally right, but it's my show. Let's move along. Okay. Oh, God. One more. People who daily deal with people. Justin. Okay. Your prep before you sit down with the patient client.
For me, this starts way before.
Whose dog is on? Throw those dogs out. Sorry. Go ahead.
I start my day by first sitting and connecting with or inviting a certain amount of space to see what's there for me.
Okay.
Settling past the thinking brain and the feeling brain until there's more of a sense of core self available.
Okay, of course.
Not always great, but just to start my day with that reference point, if you will.
Okay.
For me, consistency has been very important. So I refresh that basic settling and opening past these different brains often. So fast forward, client or patient comes in, I am already sustaining some amount of little bit of feeling, maybe because we're welcome to the center and there's some interaction, but into that zone of sensing availability, presence very quickly.
Okay.
Here we're vibing. We're both sharing some space, and it feels like we're resonating or vibing together.
Okay.
When more of this sensing is available to me. How are we doing so far?
Say that again, last part.
How are we doing so far?
I think okay. Could you give us some examples of when you begin the beginning of sensing with the patient client?
Sure. So as definitely, as both Elaine and Susan have mentioned, there's information that's available, abundant information that's not obvious to the thinking or feeling brain.
Yeah.
It seems to be coming from their system and from the space that we're sharing. I get impressions from the client on levels that are not obvious sometimes to them, meaning somebody comes in, they're a marathon runner, they're coming in with knee pain. This came up today. And it becomes obvious, oh, they're pushing off too hard with that leg. Very subtle to them.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't realize it's maybe just a couple of percentages different than the usual, but it's created some strain on that side. And it's not the knee itself, it's the way they're using their body. Yeah, and they wouldn't know, is the knee pain because I didn't warm up? Did I strain something? Is it a pre-existing injury? No. Immediately it's obvious.
Yeah.
Not because I know it, but because there's an impression. Oh, they're pushing off too hard with that leg, and that's a factor. The knee pain is secondary. There's a root or original thing behind that.
So this is that line of communication where if other healers were there, they'd say, how'd you know that? Because it's not obvious, right? So that comes up.
Or even to
Why'd
the
you
client.
say that? How do you know that?
They don't, and the client doesn't know.
Yeah.
They're not working with that level of precision.
Yeah.
To know, well, if my foot is off by a degree or two, it's not obvious unless you're performing at a level. but it takes a toll. It's not the knee at all per se. It's this other thing that's just known.
And continue with that. Next level.
So this is very typical with physical ailments of one kind or another. But what I find interesting specifically are with clients that have mental, emotional, behavioral challenges of one kind or another in their development. They're stuck somewhere. And again, the origins of where this is coming from is not always known to the client.
Yeah.
But this, when we're vibing together,
In the sensing realm.
in the sensing realm, yeah, so impressions come up whereby I might know, oh, there's a behavioral that's inherited by the grandparent of this person did this kind of thing, and now they've inherited unconsciously a historical, cultural, tendency that wasn't obvious to them because it's from a few generations back, so to say.
It's there and they don't even know it's there.
They don't know that. Why do I have this outlook on the world? Well, they couldn't help per se knowing that it was being inherited by previous generations or whatever. And this is just their propensity now.
So again, people, what we're saying here is in this finer dimension of sensing and finer, there's a wealth of information. We're just scratching the surface here. Okay. We're trying to give you, but by doing this, saying, oh, it's not just his knee. He's saying how the family lineage thing is potentially interfering in this case. And we're still just scratching the surface. What about past lives? Okay.
Could be that, it's a funny thing. It comes up whereby a person might be pushing themselves physically in a way, but the origins of that may not be physical at all. They may be lining up to a quality of power or some other thing that's driving them, and they're not quite positioned well with that. And that energy, or how they're lining up to energy for performance in this way, is getting bottlenecked somehow.
So at this level, you can begin to see, Susan and I had one, or I like the way Susan laid it out this other time Susan and I were talking. And so again, she deals with physical, although the doctors are sending her a lot of non-physical patients because they know she's doing something. They're not sure what, but they're sending the difficult patients to her. Where, okay, one level, she's trained physical therapist. Next level, sensing, more the energy stuff, before finer to mention that. Next level, and then suddenly one day she was picking up the family involvement with this patient client. If there's something from the family that was affecting them for the problem she had to deal with. So it went from them physically to them with their family to what Justin is saying about family. It's like, yes, that begins to show. And again, we're just scratching the surface. So let's say you all believe in reincarnation. What about past life carryovers? Okay. So I make a joke about my shoulders. My rotator cuffs get tore up pretty good. I've been mutilated through a few lives in my shoulders. I got speared in the shoulder. I got shot in the shoulder. So I'm delicate with shoulders. Okay. Anyway, and on and on and on and on. As we sense, we're getting in the area of a self to self. And selves retain the memory of everything they've experienced. So at a good level of self, connecting with another level of self, there's a wealth of information there. Okay, the self carries a wealth of information about the person it's related to. Did I say that? Okay. Was that almost brilliant? Oh, God. Let's get off the healers for a moment. I saw Denise. Denise Kaufman, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. I just
Denise.
was staying muted, Bob.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was staying muted. Hold on. Okay. All
Let's
right.
let's get away from the healers for a bit. In your history of being on stage, can we use the word sensing? One night on stage, you were in a nice level. We could call it the sensing level. What
Yeah.
did you sense about, I don't know, you playing, the band, the audience? I don't know, but you were at a sensing level. Tell us about that.
At that level, there was no division. The band kind of went from, sometimes it feels more like individuals, and that communication, can be okay, but or even good, but it's different when the band feels like one unit, like one body.
One unit, yes, yeah.
And then I'm just, when you said that, a particular a particular show came up for me, and I was singing a song and playing bass and singing a song, and the band we were like one unit, and then the audience just became
Blended in.
a circuit that started to flow.
Yeah.
And everybody
So
was singing together.
all of you are one thing here at this point. Yeah. And those are a wow night, right? A magic night. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can come and go. And, one of my really good friends, Steve Kimmock, who's a really wonderful guitarist. And he's, a lot of people will film a band and they'll even show that up like on screens or things like that. And he always says, I never want to see the band. I just want the cameras on the audience. No, why see the band? I know the band, but it's just like to kind of tune into what, especially if it's a kind of a darker place, you can't see too far. But it's like to actually feel the energy of the people that have come, that's the best.
And let me jump in on that. To feel the energy, okay, good. And to feel the energy, it's a finer level of feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some people may hear the repercussions of the drum, and that's feeling, but that's heavy duty, man.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Right. There's a finer level of feeling. And then we continue, we get into sensing. And then there are more dimensions or finer of sensing. Yeah. Okay. We all right with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to get away from all those healers out there. Different approach. Yeah, I was my history for a while, I was a dog whisperer. And it just sort of happened. So I don't remember my warm up, but basically sitting, settling. There's the dog. The people say, okay, we got a problem with this dog. And if I recall, it's been a lot of years back, if I recall, just basic settling, opening, of course, dog, me, dog. And very quickly it would happen where it suddenly clicked. I don't even know if there was a click, but something. And I would mentally say to the dog, what's up here? And the dog would talk to me. In that sense, I could hear the words, okay? Talk to me. It was kind of fun. I was kind of good at it at the time. I remember one Great Pyrenees female, I belonged to this Great Pyrenees Club, and they picked her up at the pound or something, because Great Pyrenees people don't like their dogs to end up in a dog pound. So anyway, she came out of nowhere, and the person who's taking care of her knew something was a little bit off, so she called me in. Something's off with this dog. And I said, hi, how are you to the dog? And what's up? And what's your problem or something? And this is a Great Pyrenees. And she said, and I broke up. She said, I'm afraid. And I said, of what? Of everything. This is a Great Pyrenees. They fight wolves and bears. They're tough. So it's so funny to hear Great Pyrenees. I'm afraid of everything. She broke me up. Anyway, this was very easy, very natural. Okay. No great effort, but I think because, I'm into my work, even though this was way back, into the settling and opening and what, beginnings of sensing, could I say? It was just there. It was just there. So anyway, my dumb example. So sensing. Okay. Anybody else have an experience that we could attribute to a sensing level? Mics are open. Sensing level.
Sensei, Bob here.
Hey, Bob there.
I got a business example. I was working with an insurance company, and we were calling on a client. It was a large food processor that we were hoping to get their business. And it was a company that was owned by a Japanese company. And the Japanese company had a close relationship with a Japanese insurance company who was insuring these guys. So I knew just from that this was going to be difficult to get them away.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, what can we really offer these people? And you go through, okay, well, maybe our price will be lower. Well, that'll be a thinking thing. Maybe we can offer a little better service some way. That'll be a feeling thing. But they had a fire, and they were really unhappy with how the Japanese company had handled the claim. So that's when the sensing part came in. And I brought some stuff in with me, some fire codes and things like that I had never done before with a client ever in 40 years.
You brought it in beforehand, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I went over it with them, and then they brought in a couple of other guys to listen to what I was saying. And they actually had to go back to the board of directors in Japan to allow them to change insurance companies because they didn't want to leave their Japanese insurance company because they were a Japanese company, but they did. And we got this $600,000 account because of that.
Cool. So sensing level in a business sense. So you don't have to be a healer or a dog whisperer or whatever, everything and anything is what I'm trying to present. A musician, dog talker, business, whatever. See, this sensing is in the realm of self senses, could I say? Okay. Get more people into a self level or a sensing self experience level. There's some cool things that can go on. Okay. Business, music, plants, animals, whatever. Okay. That's where I say everything talks. Okay. Yeah. Everything talks. We just have to get to a better level of hearing what anything and everything is saying. So that's why we're playing with sensing. Is that was said not bad, I think? Help?
Well, Sensei, this is Lauren. I'd just like to add one along the same lines as Noah just now. And, many people understand that I work sometimes as a Japanese, English, Japanese interpreter for business negotiations. And I don't have the most complete vocabulary in the world. I'm not the most fluent Japanese speaker in the world, but I believe that my Aikido training helps me, what in Japanese would be called read the air. Read the air. Aikido-yomu. And so
Read the air.
if I'm in a business negotiation, whether that's in front on two sides of a table or at a restaurant drinking, so much of it is when to speak, when to stay silent, what to translate, what to not translate. Does the person understand, or do you need to repeat? And it's body language, it's hesitation, it's timing. It's rare that somebody raises their hand and says, I don't understand.
Yeah, not the
Because
Japanese.
they don't want to be embarrassed for not
Yeah, not the
understanding.
Japanese, no.
Right, but even for the Americans. And so it's very much a unspoken, invisible sensing.
Yeah.
When you do it right, everybody doesn't notice. Nobody notices.
Mhm.
Right. And when you miss, you sense it wrong, things collide. So it's, but it's very much like what Noah said too.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, people, there are many levels. So there are those that are, we can observe the person, or whatever you're saying, the person's getting a little twitchy there, a little nervous twitchy. And you go, uh-oh, something's not right. But you saw that. Fine, no problem. But finer levels, reading the air, was that the expression?
Right.
And it's not an overt eyeball looking.
No,
But that's a good phrase, reading the air, sensing the vibes going on, and finer sensing of that going on. And right there, I'm saying it's potentially unlimited.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just barely scratching the surface. What fun. It's exciting, no?
and really useful.
It makes being a human a little more fun, potentially a little easier. Maybe an easy way to keep developing and growing. Because with sensing, we're starting to tap the self. And when the self start to come more alive, even in the manifest world, that's pretty cool. That's a goodly jump. Another topic there. Somebody, the mics are open. Anything you've experienced that you feel like was a sensing level? And again, there are many levels of sensing. So,
hey, Bob, this is Catherine.
Catherine, hi.
Hi. I'm in the middle of it right now. I am preparing to facilitate a high stakes retreat starting Sunday and then Monday and Tuesday. And it involves many people. It involves expectations of a funder. There's a couple of outcomes that need to occur. So that's the framework. Mm-hmm. And as I work on the agenda, I get very strong feelings of flow. So the client tells me what they need. I then take, and I begin to have conversations with all of the participants whom I haven't yet met yet. I also have a conversation.
And to clarify that for the people. In your own space, you have conversations with them, not on the phone, not in person. No. Okay.
Oh, no.
Herself is talking to the other selves that are important people in this meeting. You can do that, people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. I just wanted to clarify it.
Thank you. Yeah, because sometimes I just don't know how to describe it, but I know what I feel.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I know. It's really befuddling sometimes. I also, this group of selves contribute to a total self. And I talk to the total self, that's all of ourselves combined, and say, what is it you would like me to do so that the voice.
So it's a group vote, a group in accord?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Because the self, the big self that encompasses all of us,
Mhm.
is asking of us to show up for the, and I'm going to have to use a business term, the outcome. And the outcome will make a huge difference on a pretty critical issue in this state. So I can't talk about all of that, but I talk to the entity that is us, and the space that we're going to be in talks to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
The room tells me the best way to use it.
Yeah.
And it also points out when I should split the group up to maybe some go outside, some go in the lobby, things like that. So
Let me jump in for a second, because you just said something Osensei said in his fight with the naval captain, which was the big, where he was really in a hell of a fancy space. He said, it's like the room told him where to move. He was just walking around. This guy's pissed off and swinging. He's going to get him. He's pissed. He thinks Osensei is putting him down because he wasn't even holding a sword or a bokken, whatever. And just walking around, casual. And the guy couldn't hit him. He said it that way. He said, it's like the room was telling him, oh, here it comes. Let's move over here. So anyway, I just wanted to say, oh, I just heard that phrase. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that is, the most I can articulate around. Well, then I need to type it into a agenda. So I ask for support around, how do I best articulate this? So, okay, we're going to have a dialogue. Hey, dialogue, what kind of questions should I kind of talk to each part of the agenda as well.
Yeah. So you're asking the group of selves, let's call it, entities, I think you call it, asking them, what can I present it to you in the physical world that would catch your attention or whatever? Yeah.
And most engage you, most help you make, it's like, how can I set the stage so each of the participants is their best character for the task at hand? I think that's in part what I try to do, or I don't do it. But I set the stage. And if I open and create the space powerfully enough, then they just have a blast because they've never had anything quite like this in terms of digging deep, I guess, if you will.
Part of, I don't know if it came across clear with our medical people, but part of moving into finer level, you're making space for yourself to be a better level of your self-sensing, but also you're including them. And when they're in a better space, they can gush things out to you that they've never told anyone else, or they may not even know about. They forgot about it, let's say, or they didn't even know that existed, but here it comes because this opening made it easier for them. It's kind of like, I think, a really advanced level would be a therapist who catches on to this space with the patient, where the therapist just sits there and the patient gushes out all the truths. So the therapist doesn't have to dig for them and go through some dumb questions and whatever, where they just are gushed out from self to the person to you, self, something like that. Anyway, endless possibilities, people, endless. Is that it, my dear?
I think so. And you just gave me this little nice gem here where we have to create scenarios for the future. So it's not so much like the therapist, like finding the truth. It's like each of them being able to gush out these amazing ideas and thoughts and phrases. And so it's a real form of creativity. So I appreciate that last comment, Bob. That was really helpful.
Yeah. See, again, using me as an example, I come from a not that well educated family. Probably only a couple of us got through high school. I made it to a year or whatever in junior college. I was top educated in my family. Artwork in my house, my joke is, was a calendar. Okay. I come from working class. And so I know my limitations as a brain thinker. Any intelligence you see is not so much Bobby. He's kind of street smart a little bit, but comes from this work, this tapping more, and then more comes out. Okay. It kind of naturally happens. So you said something about, you alluded to that with the potential, even brilliance can come out. But let's start someplace. Let's get at least some common sense coming out. But whatever. Yes, this inner work, then it's more artistic, it's smarter, it's more harmonious, it's whatever. It's an endless possibility here, people. That's all I've been trying to tell you these years. Okay. And a few tricks of how to ease the eye, how to settle down, how to open up. I know a lot of people have fear of the underworld, so I've got to explain what that is. Like, come on, let's be okay with it, because it really is. It's more than okay. It's great, but a lot of people don't know that, and they stay away from it, and they're not grounded, and they start to spin more, and on and on and on. So there's a few things we have to cover, but not to make this experience, this trip we're on, more difficult. A few tricks of the trade, I call them. Okay. But anyway, you were stumbling over how to explain. Osensei says from his level, it was god awful trying to explain. So he would sometimes, I call it wax poetically. He didn't know quite how to present his level to this level. He said, in essence, you can't. Okay. It's almost like it's not almost like, it's I don't know what to call it, a different universe that he was in. It wasn't an upgraded this universe. This universe we can upgrade. Boom, boom. And you get smarter and stronger and faster and all of that. That's upgrading in this world. Okay. And since I caught on to, oh, that's fine. Get squared away, get balanced now. But don't go on and on and on and on and on with it, because it does go on and on and on that way. But he was able to catch on to something very important there, where he could, I don't know how to say it, move from this world into another world and still be present in this world, but being in the other world. That's why the naval captain couldn't hit him. And he's just walking around. The naval captain was in this world, and he was damn good in this world. He was damn good. Okay. Physically and all of that, Osensei said almost as equal. Osensei said, I was a little bit better at that level, but only a little bit. But you got to be careful when you get two guys at the same level like that. What they call it in Japanese, aiuchi? Aiuchi. A mutual kill. They're both so good. When one is cutting the other, he's being cut. They both die. Western cowboys had the same thing. Two fast guns. They weren't sure they wanted to do that because the chances were both of them would die. It was that close. So we have a Western form of aiuchi. So he was at that level in this world with that guy. He shifted worlds. And he did it fairly well. And that's where, to explain where he was at, the golden vapors gushing and all of that, that was in the world he was in. It wasn't just something that happened 5 minutes later at the well. It just was explaining to him, you were in a hell of a world. So I don't know how to say it. Let's show you what a fancy world you're in, because you may not have noticed. You were there, you did well, but let's show you the more of it that you didn't notice, could I say? It's my words. Anyway, so I present upgrading capabilities, balance, harmony, the centered character. We have the circle types. How we have to get a sense of both that will facilitate. We need to square away harmonized balance. Then, and sense of self, then comes the potential to be able to do what Osensei said. Okay. All right. So this is very important. This 1 by to 2 by to 3 by is important. I'm not saying you got to go to a 10 by and a 15 by and a 20 by. No, you don't have to do that. Okay. But a Bobby is going to be hard pressed. A Robert, sort of. A Nadeau, well, we're getting closer now. A Nadeau who's cool, man, we're getting close. When you realize there is a self and the self is actually present, when you catch that you can as self sense finer, now there's some potential, but that's enough said. Okay. Oh, I went off on a tangent there, I think. Where the hell are we, people? We got a couple of minutes here if you want.
Sensei Bob here.
Yeah.
I can remember even from the days when you first came back from Japan, and you talked about your experiences training at the Kodokan with top of the line guys like Kyuzo Mifune, who was one of the greats.
Well, I didn't train with him.
You saw him there. Yeah, and Nakayama at the JKA and Wang Shujin. And you said
Good boy.
You could see the progression that these guys went through, and that if you spent the amount of time they spent, you would go through the same progression. But what Osensei did was something that didn't have that kind of linear.
Yeah.
It wasn't limited to that linear kind of.
It was, yeah, I could envision developing. Okay. And because I'm a training fool in those days, I'm a good trainer. I could develop. But Osensei was showing some level, don't know if that's the right word, but this thing that he was able to be present in that was like, what the hell is that? I got to get there kind of thing. Yeah. And so developing more physical strength or faster movement, yeah, a little bit because I'm still young and genki. But realizing that wasn't going to do it. So when I'd hear the Japanese, some of the Japanese studs say, oh, Sensei's got 50 years in. When I get 50 years in, I might be as good as Osensei. I would laugh to myself. Ain't going to happen because they're doing the improvement level. And again, yes, we need some to catch how it works, get a sense of things, and then we can move into, because of that balance, harmony, balance, and that picking up that there's a self here and self-sensing, getting close, okay? Which is different than continuing to a 5 by 5, a 6 by 6, a 7 by 8, a 12 by 12. That's good, but it's a different pattern. I don't know if I said it well, and are we getting ahead of our pay grade here? Well, people, any comments before we finish up here? Anybody with a sensing experience?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sensei. When Osensei was with that captain, and
What Sensei was?
With the captain.
with the
Oh, the naval captain, yeah.
who had the bocan.
Yeah.
When he moved into that space of the room beckoning him or showing him where to go, or
He said things in the room would talk to him.
would he still be aware that the Boken was coming for him, or was there a place in him?
He was aware of something, but it wasn't like being in the physical world, keeping an eye on it.
Right.
But there was an awareness. See, the action would talk to him. He said if there was movement in the room would say, it's moving. I'm paraphrasing now, because I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but if the air moved a bit, he'd be moved a bit. He could sense it. The room would talk to him, kind of thing. He said it was similar to when the bullets were coming. In a certain way, he said the bullets would talk to him and say, "Hey, I'm coming." Oh, and he'd move and he'd go by. Here, it was a little bit like that when the guy was swinging. It wasn't like, "Oh, I got to move now." But something like that. Again, now he has trouble describing this because he's in this realm, which is very hard, if not impossible, to describe to people in this realm, the Uzis and Meesies. Yeah. So I'm just trying to say it as clear as he said. Hopefully.
Was that Uzi or Mizi that would be tend to contract if somebody was, hitting at one, there'd be some sort of sense of contraction or meanness, but did he just not even have that?
Apparently, he said, I was like going for a walk. I was going for a casual walk in this room. He wasn't hanmiing. He wasn't checking him out. He said it was a casual walk. But he would be in some form pre-warned, or things would happen that he'd go along with. Best I can say it.
Thank you.
Again, we're trying to explain in this world something that is finer than this world. I don't mean finer as we use finer. I don't mean, another dimension. So already our words are a little screwy. Osensei calls this world we're in linear world. He called that world the non-linear world. Do with that what you want. But that's our way of dialoguing. In the linear world, Sensei, bah, bah, bah. In the non-linear world, bah, bah, bah. So that's our one way we map with each other. So anyway, you're all going to have trouble explaining when you're coming even from a good sensing level, sort of what you're doing. When other people say, "What are you doing there? How'd you know that? Why'd you know to do that?" Gonna have to make up some words to make them happy. I don't know what to say here. Nothing else. Go ye and do it. Show it. Whatever.
Sensei, I have the first time it was written in English version of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Osensei, so I could read it if you wished.
Okay, we're running towards the end, so just a short piece. Yeah.
As his study progressed, Morihei developed a type of sixth sense with which he could feel the intended movements of the opponent.
Okay.
When he was traveling in Mongolia, he was held up at the point of a Mauser pistol.
Okay, hold it there. Osensei said, yes, there are senses, okay? But this realm that he could move into, it's not a finer sensing realm. Finer sensing is done in this realm. And we'll have a session on that to go over that. We can improve our sense of smelling by playing dimensional. We can improve, as we did with the feeling. Boom. Oh. So see, that's not a right word, because people are going to get locked into senses. And what Osensei really did was pass that. So go ahead.
Well,
I just want to clarify.
I think the translator came up with used the word sixth sense to make clear that it was not one of the physical senses. But in any case,
I think, and even Osensei said to me, I know some people allude to a sixth sense, but I'm not talking about that. Okay, sorry, but I gotta tell you what I hear from Osensei best I can. Okay.
so he was in Mongolia. He was conscious that the opponent's intention to shoot became a small spiritual bullet, which went through him before the opponent actually pulled the trigger. Then with a rapid movement, he stepped to the opponent's side a split second before the gun fired. Then he threw him and gained possession of the weapon. This is a well-known episode amongst people who are interested in Aikido.
Yeah.
Having returned to Ayabe, the master devoted himself to his previous life of study and concentrated his mind to learn more deeply the secret of Budo. In the spring of 1925, a Navy officer, a professor of fencing, a kendo sensei, visited the master and asked to become a student. Then during a conversation, they happened to disagree over a trifle matter. Tempers rose. They agreed to have a fight. I'm laughing because based on nothing, they got so angry with each other that they agreed to whip out their bow cannons and strike each other. The officer dashed forward to strike him, swinging his wooden sword, but as the master dodged his sword very easily, each time the officer finally sat down without having once touched him. The master says he felt the opponent's movements before they were actually executed, in the same way as during his time in Mongolia.
Yeah. He said,
yeah, he took a rest after this play and went over to a nearby garden in which there was a persimmon tree. As he was wiping off the perspiration from his face, he was greatly overcome with a feeling which he had never experienced previously. He could neither walk nor sit. He was just rooted on the ground in great astonishment. The master recalls his experience and then he quotes. It's an Osensei quote, and that'll be the end. I set my mind on Budo when I was about 15 and visited teachers of fencing and jiu-jitsu of various provinces. I mastered the secrets of early sex, each within a few months, but there was no one to instruct me in the essence of Budo, which could satisfy my mind. So I knocked on the gates of various religions, but I couldn't get any concrete answers. Then in the spring of 1925, if I remember correctly, when I was taking a walk in the garden by myself, I felt that the universe suddenly quaked and that a golden spirit sprang up from the ground, veiled my body and changed my body into a golden one. At the same time, my mind and body became light.
Yeah.
I was able to understand the whispering of the birds and was clearly aware of the mind of God, the creator of this universe.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, I was enlightened. The source of Budo is God's love, the spirit of loving protection for all beings. Endless tears of joy streamed down my cheeks. Since that time, I have grown to feel that the whole earth is my house, and the sun, the moon, and the stars are all my own things.
he likes to wax poetically. I'm getting enough. Thank you. Thank you. Just have to be careful of interpretations, you know, a strong mind, whatever somebody said. No, not a strong mind. You see, that could throw people out. I'm going to really concentrate on being aware or something. No. So always the interpretations are going to be a little nah. And again, Osensei said to try to talk about that level to people in this level, even though they're advanced or well-trained or whatever, he says, damn, it's like if it isn't impossible, it borders on impossibility. Okay, so that's when you wax poetically and stuff. Anyway, enough.
Well, I want to close, Sensei, by saying that for all its imperfections, which I didn't know at the time when in 1974, when I bought this book and read about it, that's what attracted me most, was the possibility that could happen.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir.
That's what the rah-rah books are for. My rah-rah book was Nani Yogi. No, what was my rah-rah book?
Autobiography of a yogi.
Thank you. Autobiography of a Yogi. That was my rah-rah book. I wasn't a heavy meditator, lightly, but I'd read a paragraph or two. Whoa, wow. And I'd meditate. That was my rah-rah book. Got me going. Reminded me. Okay. Yeah, little rah-rah book. It's cool. Until it gets in your way. Kill the Buddha along the way. Thank you, people. Oh, no class again. No class next week. Practice sensing. Got it? Practice sensing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.